Hello and welcome to All Things Esoteric. My name is Kate, and Anthony's here with me this evening. Hello, Anthony.
Hi, guys.
It is 10/24/2021, and it is our pilot episode, so we hope that you'll join us for All Things Esoteric, where we talk about things that are hidden, old. What else?
It's esoteric, specifically mostly spiritual topics, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, magic.
Right on. Day-to-day stuff, too, practical tips, things that we do so we bring it down to earth. But with that, let's get going. So, hey, I was sitting here thinking about astrology. I'm going to bring in kind of what's going on in our current sky as we speak. At about 6 o'clock is when I read the sky. But this came to me as I was just sitting here thinking about the planets and what's going on out there. And I got this, and I don't, know where it came from. I guess it came from my own imagination, right? But I'd like to think that some guides are helping me understand this knowledge, because sometimes it's very deep. But I heard astronomy is the science of the sky. Astrology is the science of the intuitive cry. Okay.
Oh, man.
Come on now. So I guess all things esoteric to me is it's that intuitive cry to something deep within me knows something's not right. I don't want to blame anybody else, but I do want to try to figure it out, and that led me down this road. How about you, Anthony? How did you kind of get into these types of topics that we're going to be talking about?
Oh, man, it's a long story, but pretty much I used to be an atheist, and then I had a lot of mushrooms one day, and then I realized there was more than the physical, and I started getting into meditation and Buddhism, and then just deeper and deeper into shit that no one has ever heard of, or if they have, they think it's like a myth or it's just something else, and then you start to feel crazy.
Because what happens is, I've read quite a bit about medicinal mushrooms and other plant therapies and how they're used, especially outside of the United States, to treat mental illness and help individuals find their path, so to speak, and they have spiritual journeys that are of deep significance. I think that magic mushrooms have been greatly misused in the United States of America, and it's sad to see what's happened, but we're seeing a turning around to that, right?
Oh, yeah. There's so many studies every single day you can see online. Oh, this is medical mushrooms treat depression. LSD treats depression. It's like, no shit. This is old news to most people.
Right. And so it begs the question, why was that made? Is it Schedule 2 or whatever the schedules is, Schedule 1, Schedule 2 drug like heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine?
That's a whole episode in itself.
Yeah,
we'll do one on psychedelics and spirituality and the occult and whatnot.
Stay tuned for that, guys. That's coming. Okay, so let's get into this. Uranus is currently one of the outermost planets that I want to talk about this evening, because this planet has been doing much as it's been sitting in Taurus. And Uranus is an outer planet as well as Neptune and Pluto. And the reason why I'm going to be talking about those three is because the inner planets and the bridge planets, the remaining planets that I didn't mention, tend to move more quicker and tend to have more changes that help with the daily inner personality according to your own transits with the chart. When you start getting into these outer energies, they have very, very long orbits. And Uranus was discovered in 1781 and orbits the sun while lying on its side. Did you know that, Anthony?
Yes.
I did not know that till this evening as I dug deeper. I've studied Uranus, but I came across it randomly in an article. And I was like, wow, I never realized that. And that's crazy. So it kind of fits its personality right there. It's the rebel.
It doesn't want to be like everyone else.
That's right, exactly. It definitely doesn't. And there's at least 3 different ways to pronounce Uranus. So If you hear somebody pronounce it differently, just leave them alone. You know what they're talking about. It's one of the rarest names of a planet. So it takes 84 years to go around the chart. So basically it spends 7 years in each sign. So it's about halfway through Taurus at 13 degrees. And it went in there in 2018 in Taurus, and it exits in 2026. That's important to remember because we have another shift happening of great significance in 2024, which will be when Pluto leaves Capricorn. So what do you know about Uranus, Anthony, that you've studied about this planet?
Well, mostly I've focused on the 7 classical planets because that's what's used in divination. I actually don't know that much about the outer planets, except that they tend to deal with further out, deeper kind of psychological concepts.
Right on. That's exactly right. And culturally how they show up, right? Like,
yeah, because they move so slow, they're in the same sign for a generation at a time.
That's exactly right. And that's why wherever these planets show up in your own natal chart, you definitely want to look at that because those are going to be some themes that you came into this world to either, depending on the rest of your chart, clean up, work out, partner with other people. It just depends on all the other things that are in your chart. So Uranus is actually the ruling planet of Aquarius, which is really important to understand. And so we have to look at Aquarius's energy because it really is the owner. Aquarius is fixed air. So what do we know about fixed air?
What I want to say about Aquarius is that it is a humanitarian type of sign. They do want what's best for everyone, but they tend to generally be cold to the individual sympathies.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at that. That's true. It's such a faraway planet. That's one reason. And you also have it in fixed air. So it's fixed upon, it's got a plan. And fixed individuals, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just lost you for a second.
Okay. Aquarius is fixed, and fixed, the other fixed signs operate almost the same way. And when you have it in fixed air, that's communication that stays focused. And it speaks out, obviously. And how does it speak out depends on where that Uranus is, right? So the messages right now are about the others and community. And with Uranus there, it's waking us up and it's shifting our consciousness. And it's asking us also to think about scientific achievement and ingenuity, which is very strongly, Uranus is the sky god, right? Mm-hmm. So keywords: awakening, invention, originality, science, the future, electricity, revolution, rebellion, unexpected events, natural disasters. So with Taurus here, we've been seeing a shakeup of things where? Well, upon the earth, because Taurus is earth energy. Even though there's air coming in there with that Aquarian, it's in the sign of Taurus.
Well, also, fixed air, the fixed signs correspond to salt, which is the principle of the body, so that is physical.
Excellent. I love that tie-in. Yeah, exactly. All right, so Uranus is going to be about breaking the rules and disrupting any established orders, right? It's the rebel. It's the revolutionary, the humanitarian, like you said. It's the one that's going to go out.
Outside.
Right, exactly. So when we stick Uranus in Taurus, because it's in Earth, it's like, it gets really innovative and resourceful when it comes to what? Money and financial dealings. So Uranus has been shaking up those monetary areas of our lives. Is that true? Absolutely. Look what COVID did, right?
And when did Uranus come into Taurus?
2018.
Interesting.
Right. 2018. It's going out in 2026, and it's going to go into Gemini. Okay? So with it being in the first house where it is right now, our energy today, it moves very slowly, so it's going to spend some time there. But remember, this is the personality. So we're supposed to be, hey, it's okay to be different. I can be who I truly am because I'm in the first house and I just am the rebel. I'm different. Baby, I was born this way comes to mind. You know what I mean? That's Uranus in the first house, and embracing it. And we're seeing that, aren't we? With everybody coming out in their own genders and a lot of air energy regarding earth material things, and the feminines having air energy. And
so you would consider Uranus and Taurus a very woke energy?
Absolutely. And it's fixed, right? It's fixed air and fixed earth. It's two things sitting together working. So I'm going to keep going here. Another generational planetary effect is Uranus sextiling Neptune. And what that does is now we have Neptune in a positive position, two planets that can work together, but they have to individually, Uranus, be more spiritual, Neptune, right? So it's calling the collective, this is a whole bunch of us, to a more personal level of gaining an interest in spiritual things. Just like what came out of your mouth at the beginning of the show, man.
And how long are they sextile for?
They are sextile for, I didn't pull that up. I should know. I don't know. For a while. And they've been there for a while.
Oh, it's interesting you mentioned the Uranus and Taurus in relation to COVID, because also a generational planet I see is Saturn in Aquarius, which I've heard the idea that this represents domination and rule of law through technology.
Yeah, it can do that because Saturn's owner is Capricorn. And Capricorn rules the 10th house, and that's government and earth and cardinal earth, putting structures on the earth. Think about it, right? See how it becomes practical with Saturn? It's a real practical energy there, because that's what Saturn is. Saturn's all about. Yeah. So the Sabian symbol, and we'll talk about those sometime, but just assuming you all know what that is, if you don't Google it, Goldsmith's Sabian symbol, I have to read this. For this degree of Taurus, okay, in this position, are you ready?
I'm ready.
The slow, natural evolution of consciousness or social structures. The instinctive urge to press forward despite internal and external resistance. Spiritual or political leadership taking a movement to a new level. Many small steps that eventually result in tidal shifts. Crawling out of the muck of ignorance. Don't you love that?
Fuck the system.
And prejudice, and rebuilding society along more humanitarian lines. Shedding outmoded structures versus getting stuck in a shell, crawling out from under an oppressive situation. This is unbelievable.
Damn.
Tentative fumbling while one is still in the dark. Forming an underground brotherhood or sisterhood that shares breakthroughs in consciousness and tries to guide human evolution. Refusing to be bullied or pushed back once one has seen where one is going. The moon card of the tarot. Oh,
sounds like the age of Mott.
Tell me about that.
It's in the procession of the aeons, after the aeon that we're in now, the aeon of Horus, the aeon of the child, the results of the masculine and feminine, rather than worshiping just the masculine or just the feminine. The aeon of Mott is theoretical sometime in the future. Some people will argue we're in it now, but it's just basically all the things you just mentioned about spiritual evolution and truth coming out and things getting better in general for society.
Wow. The layers, right? The truth is everywhere.
It all connects.
It does. We are one. Okay, Neptune, 20 degrees in Pisces. We've been there for a while, right? At 20 degrees, Neptune, again, an outer planet, it takes a super long time to transit the zodiac. So you're looking at 165 Pisces, right? Years. Huh?
It's home in Pisces, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And it's in the 12th house. So tonight, it's transiting the zodiac. Transit takes 165 years. So you've got 14 years. Taurus was 7, right? Excuse me. Uranus was 7 in Taurus. And then you have 14 years in Neptune. Pisces, pardon me, in each sign. So it came in, Neptune came in Pisces in 2012.
Interesting.
And it's going to go out in 2026. So check this out. In 2024, we're going to get to Pluto next. She leaves in 2024. Neptune leaves in 2026. And Taurus leaves in 2026. We're going to see some serious changes by 2030. It takes time for things to get settled in, especially these longer planets. It moves painstakingly slow. So will truly change. Remember, these planets stay a long time, so you're going to feel these aspects longer than any of the other planets. So, crucial to know them in your chart as well as the inner planets. But, all right, so Neptune's about, like you said, rules Pisces, and Pisces is mutable water, right? The most spiritual planet, the most spiritual sign, truly wanting to return back to that which formed it, the 12th house, the end, right? That's where Pisces lives.
And all the myths about things forming from the water.
Oh, do tell us about that.
Oh, well, if you said you were listening to the Corpus Hermeticum the other day, and it's in there, things form from the dark waters. I mean, it's in the Bible, something about the waters of the deep. I mean, you can find in many creation myths, like before there was anything else, there was the water, and then the waters became firm. That's the firmament.
I got you, and yes, I do remember that. I actually listened to it as well, which was a whole other experience. I highly recommend it. Listening to it, like while you're doing the dishes or doing tasks or something, and you know, it's kind of like you zone out while you're, it was phenomenal. I was blown away. Yeah. All right, so what does it mean? Well, let's go back here a minute, because I do want to say this. Neptune is known for deep spirituality, but also use of the imagination.
You say deep spirituality?
Deep spirituality. Thank you. And use of the imagination. Therefore, the arts, writing, poetry, music, painting, anything that you can get lost in, right? Think about it that way. Anything that you just lose yourself in. The fog.
So this is Neptune, right?
This is Neptune.
That's why Pan is associated with Neptune. That makes sense now.
Oh, yeah? I don't know a whole lot about Pan. I think we should do a whole show.
Well, the arts and like happy-go-lucky kind of attitude.
Right on.
This Pan is very playful. You know, even in the Chinese, there's an old Taoist myth about a god named Pan Ku. It's a very, very short myth where he is self-begotten. He has horns and hooves, and he hatched from an egg before the rest of existence was there, and he created the universe from his body, but before he did that, he did one thing. He danced. Pan Ku.
I love it.
It's fucking great. I love Pan.
I love him too, and I feel very akin to this archetype. Entity, whatever it is. Sorry, I don't know much about it.
That's why when you tell me, like, oh, you're working too much and you need to laugh more and relax, I tell you, that's very Pan of you.
Yeah, no, Jupiter is in my 5th house, so I have to be really careful. I can just be like this lion that wants to lay around. Well, I'm very active, but just likes to just play. And I have it square all my luminaries, my sun, my moon, and my Venus. What does that tell you? However, when I moved to Huddleston and I relocated my chart, it loosened those squares up, which is exactly what's been happening, my growth. So let's go back to Neptune. That's fascinating, though, about Pan. Let's do a whole show. Is it male or female?
Pan?
Yeah.
Well, he's represented as the divine masculine, but also he is all things. So technically he's androgynous.
Okay, I got
Well,
you.
actually,
Well, as
more
we are.
specifically, I've read what I'm learning is that if the Great Mother is all things, Pan, the Divine Father, is all.
Hmm.
So it's basically like the substance the things are made out of.
Oh, wow. What an amazing elemental world we live in that we are now only beginning to understand. Amazing times, right? May Pan lead the way.
Seems like the ancients had a pretty good idea, and we've lost a lot of it.
That's what I mean. Like,
Well,
that's
on purpose, because of the church, but
exactly. That's a whole nother show. We're going to talk about those things, aren't we? Like, we're going to just break it down.
Yeah.
Hey. All right, so Neptune, ancient god of the sea, discovered in 1846, planet of illusion, glamour, mystery, and deception, like the fog. So remember, everything has a shadow aspect. We live in a duality world, right? Dual world. Mm-hmm. So, side note, if you have Neptune on your ascendant, like I do, that is a mystic. It is a known sign of the mystic. Also, if you look at Marilyn Monroe's chart, you'll see that many people who are dynamic or magnetic have Neptune in their personality in their first house. So I certainly don't have the glam that Marilyn Monroe had, but I identify with the magnetism. It's actually opened a lot of doors for me. You know what I'm saying? It really has.
Oh, yeah.
And things that I can't explain. And I'm not, it's just favor. But it's also a very hard placement. So wherever your Neptune is, guys, that's a tough, it can be a blessing. It can be like a fog, right? You can just stay in the clouds. But when it's in Pisces, here's what it's trying to say. I need you to start thinking about metaphysical things and mysticism. I need you to get your head out of all these heavy earth dense matters and start really connecting yourself to your higher self, whatever you think that is. It brings all orthodox religions into question, and it says, does this make sense anymore? So it's saying you need to seek your own spiritual experiences. I think that's the wave of microdosing and how we're seeing it as medicine now, and they're actually using it in prescriptions in Cali. I've heard this. And how, you know, one day they'll just be decriminalized just like marijuana was.
Oh, yeah, I heard you can even get a ketamine prescription now.
Yeah, I mean, medicinal mushrooms, they can't control it anymore. Too many people are like, no, this is medicine when used in, you know, here's the other thing. When we talk about that, we'll talk about set and setting, right?
Yep.
Okay, so escapism and religious ecstasy can be found here when it's in excess. Because of all this experimentation, it really makes you like just want to get out of yourself and not feel yourself. So you can like do too many drugs and too many intoxicants and too much blah blah, you know. And you just got to really watch it. You really do. Neptune is no joke. No joke. So the generational planet there is, again, Neptune sextile Uranus. So I got to tell you, with Uranus sextiling Neptune, the rebel to the spiritual psychic person, I mean, this is like somebody really going out and using their gifts and using their spiritual understanding and what they've gained on a personal level. And it's saying, I'm going to express it. I'm going to put it out in that cardinal first house energy, right?
Right.
I'm telling you, man, it's something else. All right, Pluto. Pluto's been in Capricorn for a very long time. And Pluto takes 248 years to transit the zodiac. So you and I are never going to see it make a full circle in our chart. So, and depending on the size of your heart, your heart, that too, size of your house is how long Pluto will go through. Because if you use other systems besides the whole house divides everything in 30 degrees and places all like planets in like houses, but I'm moving away from it and going back to Placidius because I just see it more true when I do charts, and that's just me. So, no,
that's nice. We'll have to do an episode or a series where we go through each of the houses as well.
Yeah, that would be good. But Pluto's going to stay in there 14 to 30 years, depending on the size of your own natal chart. And it's discovered in 1930, and then they took it out and said, no, it's not a planet. And now I don't know if they put it back in or not, but most astrologers don't care because it's one of the oldest archetypes out there. Pluto as well as Mars are about, which rules Scorpio. Both those planets are about death and life and transformation. When Mars is in a hard conjunction, it can cause accidents and even death. Like what just happened with the film crew, right? William Baldwin.
Oh, they were trapped in a cave or something?
No, he shot his director on accident because they thought there were blanks in the gun.
Oh?
And
someone fucked up.
Yeah, the armsman or whoever, the armory person, screwed up. Somebody did, but he shot one person and injured the other. He killed the cinematographer, the person who was recording it. She's gone. So that is a Uranus-Pluto situation. Okay, that is a Mars-Uranus. That's a Mars-Pluto. Like when those things happen, you've got death and utter transformation. And Pluto is, I know you know a lot about Pluto. It's the Roman god of the underworld and the nether regions of Hades and of the spirits of the dead. And there's been a lot negative said about Pluto, but I tell you, when you get through a Pluto transit, this is what I wrote. It's as if Pluto wants to eliminate all that is of dross, and your soul is the gold in the fires of the refiner's cup called Pluto.
Well, I like that you put it in alchemical terms, because the whole idea of death in alchemy is basically solve et coagula. As the alchemist redissolves whatever crystal they just made and boils the water off to reform the crystal, and as they bring that water back to the crystal and repeat the process, basically the idea is the crystal is dying and coming back to life, and dying and coming back to life, and in the process you refine it. So as we die and come back to life and die and come back to life, the idea is we are all on the path to ascending at some time or another, that all souls will eventually be one again with the source.
That is it in a nutshell. That's beautiful. I mean, try going through it though, right?
It's not easy.
That fire is no joke, man. That fire, and Pluto will not. It won't stop now. Let's talk about what it's been doing, right? In our world, because this is the sky map. This is Eastern Standard Time, New York, United States of America. So I'm speaking to our energy because that's where we live, and that's what's hitting us, and that's what's important. It can change depending on where you live, and if you use Vedic, which is a whole other conversation. But when Pluto is in Capricorn, what do we know of Capricorn?
He's a fucking dick.
No, he's not. Don't say that, man. You're just unbelievable. Well, he's the 10th house, so he's the government. I mean, yeah, that. But he, if we didn't have Capricorn, he's the goat going up the mountain, okay? And Saturn is his planet. So he's going to bring you some order and some structure, and don't we all need that cardinal masculine structure?
Oh, of course it's necessary.
Exactly. So, but when it goes into Capricorn, when Pluto, the planet of annihilation, goes into Capricorn, Earth structures, it says, now I'm going to destroy all of them. All of them. all of them, and replace them with structures that have outlived their time and their usefulness. So what are we seeing? We're seeing the whole landscape, especially in the West, because that's what I speak to. I do follow world news, but we're in the United States of America. Good old hashtag America. We are here, and that's all I can speak to. You know what I mean? So economic systems, political parties, businesses, the way that we do business, methods of government, that's where I think Pluto's going to usher us into the New World Order. I think Pluto's responsible. This is ruthless pragmatism, man. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like this.
Oh yeah.
We've got 10 more.
It's degrees. Everyone has to be vaccinated, so we could take whatever measures necessary.
Yeah. It is. It's Capricorn making its last hurrah because Pluto in Capricorn shifting in 2024.
They're going to enforce it with technology, the Saturn in Aquarius.
Do you think so? Talk to me about that.
Oh yeah, I mean I've heard in other countries they have like a some kind of check-in app where like for the lockdown where they have to check in to like prove that they're at home.
You know, hell to the no.
Yeah, fuck that.
I'm not doing that. I'm not. You know, I am older than you. We haven't really talked about that. Don't really feel like we need to. But I've really had pretty fulfilling life. So, not that if I was younger I wouldn't sacrifice it either. But it's like at this point when you get this age, you're just like, whatever. Bring it on. Okay, so that's going to shift in 2024. It went in 2008, by the way. Pluto in Capricorn. 2008, it leaves in 2024, and guess where it's going? The age of Aquarius, baby.
Interesting.
The age of Aquarius. We will live to see Pluto go into Aquarius. Pluto's my chart ruler. You know, whatever your ascendant is, that sign's planet is your chart ruler. Right?
Huh. I heard the sun sign, but you probably know more than me.
No, that's your soul. Your sun, we're going to talk about that, is, you know, your soul, your essence. It's your blueprint, your bone structure. It's what will never change about you, to me. The ascendant is where the magic happens, because you're not anything until you're born. And yeah, the sun is your birth, but where were you? What was going on in the ascendant? Where was the sun rising on you that day? Where was it the moment you took your breath? Mine was a Scorpio ascendant. So Pluto plays really large in my life. I was born with it in the 10th house conjunct Uranus, conjunct my midheaven, and Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much what I'm doing now. You know, okay, what do you know about Chiron? I want to talk about that last and see what else you want to talk about. The wounded healer. Yeah, what do you know about him?
Not so much. You know, I didn't really get too much into the outer planets or the asteroids. You are an expert astrologer.
Oh, no, and I bow before all the masters out there that are like listening to this and cringing.
I mean, combined with your intuition, those fucking masters can get at me.
Well, I tell you what.
Get at me for you.
What I appreciate that. What I really go by is, I really do, as I look at the chart, because these giftings and who you are and how your mind, body, soul is wired shows up in the chart. It's no joke. And so when you have the chart of a mystic, Neptune on my ascendant, when you have the chart of someone who's deeply into psychology, Scorpio ascendant, right? I mean, I can go on and on, but it shows up. These placements show who you are, and it's not a joke. And that's why you can, you know, you can grow, which is what this show's about too, right? Like growing.
Yeah, that's definitely something I noticed when I first started to look into my natal chart. Because, like, yeah, I definitely felt these influences, but, like, I was able to get past and, just change myself from some of them, just from life experiences, just from, like, friends or whatever growing up, at a critical age saying, like, don't do that. That's a shitty thing to do. I'm like, wow, yeah, that is a shitty thing to do. Sometimes it's all it takes to get past a planet in a sign. I mean, there's a whole idea where, in some perspectives, the planets are archons, basically. They're rulers. There's a negative view on destiny where you're chained to your destiny, and through some magical ways, some people try to elevate themselves, but sometimes all it takes is just learning and growing as a person.
Absolutely. And relationships and experience, right? Those are our teachers.
Right.
And wow, that's exactly where it's at. I think as far as how do you get through there is as those planets shift and change, the energies are available to you. Like the stars impel, but they don't compel. Like you were saying, it's up to us to take our willpower and to apply it. It's nothing. Somebody I read somewhere talked about energy and how in order for it to be used in any shape of a form or a tool, you need a container. And scattered energies aren't strong. They can't project themselves in any one area, right? So it's about knowing our own inner energies and then focusing them to live an empowered, happy, centered, harmonic life. All right, Chiron and Aries can help you do this. When you have core wounding in your value and worth, because it's the wounded healer, remember, and it's in Aries. So the wounded healer, not going to go into it, but please
going to aggressively heal the fuck out of you.
Yeah. And it's the first house is Aries. And Aries is cardinal fire, and it's very personal. Aries can get their feelings hurt very easily because it's the first house that they rule. When we have woundings here, it is in your value and your self-worth. So, like, a wounded Chiron would be like, I don't have any right to exist here. Something's really fundamentally really screwed up with me, man. Like, I'm not normal. Being, like, really overly self-sufficient. Like, no, I'll do it. I'll take care of it. I don't need any help. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's me.
That's a wounded Chiron. That's not, the energy hasn't been released from the wound, and the wisdom's not come in, like you were just talking about, through relationships and experience yet, to really mature in it. But it will happen, especially if, like we talk about a lot when we talk, positive self-talk, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't expect to say something once and then, bam, it's like a genie in the bottle. It doesn't work that way. So a healed Chiron, like a Chiron that's like, okay, I'm going to take this wound, this deep, deep wound, and I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to be an alchemist. Use alchemy.
Transmuted.
There you go. And I'm going to transmute it into something for good. So Aries, with its fire and its cardinal energy and its ability to masculinely move something out, right? Its forward energy moving, is able to feel worthy. It's able to get up and move because of Mars. It says, hey, I do have a right to exist, and now I'm going to go get busy about doing it. I'm going to put myself out there. Exactly. And it feels loved and is lovable. Like the relationships are better. So Chiron entered April 17th, 2018, and it's going to be here about 8 years. So this is a lesson. Love yourself. You are worthy. You have a right to be here. Your voice should be heard. Collectively, I'm going to heal people. And this energy really facilitates that collective healing of personal wounds. So if everybody's personally addressing, which is kind of what COVID made people do. go in and look at themselves. Well, I wouldn't say COVID. I would say just the planetary movements, and everything that's behind that. Right. So it's going to be Chiron wanting to be like, no, and it's taking off all restraint with Mars. Like, I'm going to move forward, and you're not going to tell me what to do. It brought on the sexual revolution during the Roaring 20s.
Right.
And during the time of Prohibition. Those are some things that occurred. With Chiron here, we notice homosexuality being decriminalized in East Germany in 68, West Germany in 69, Mexico, Guatemala, Japan, and some of the United States followed suit. So you see this just pushing out of independence and who I am, and I am gay, and it has to be okay. And I don't care if you don't like it, because LGBT Pride Parade occurred during this time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe when Chiron...
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Maybe there's some weed legalization in the future?
Yeah, stuff like that. Exactly. Get your hands off my body. This probably has to do with all the abortion stuff down in Texas too, right? The laws down there that's going on. Mm. So we've got Chiron there for, let's see, 8 more years. When's it going to be out? It was 8 years. And it went in 2018, says 2024. So again, we're seeing Chiron move out too. The years 2024 to 2026 are going to be quite incredible. So I would suggest no moving around during those times. Like, find where you're going to live and just sit there, because there'll be a lot of changing and shifting of rules, regulations, government structures, all kinds of things are going to be changing. So that is where we're at with the sky energies today.
Interesting. And that is also the natal chart of this podcast.
That's right. How interesting is that? We decided to use this time and this date because it really didn't become a living thing until we hit record.
Right.
Pretty cool, huh? Well, I wanted to ask you if you wouldn't mind commenting on something this evening before we go out here in a little while. But remember I said I was going to do a reading about this pod?
Yes.
And card kind of thing. And, tarot
sorry, you cut out for a second again. You said you were going to do a tarot reading about the podcast generally?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was just going to pull one card and just kind of let that card speak for itself, just about a foundational energy. Well, check this out. I pulled out the Ace of Pentacles.
Oh, shit.
And it's the Lord of the root of the power of the earth. We have a seed coming out. Something we want to put practically on earth is occurring. And I wondered if you wouldn't talk about the tree of life where that occurs.
Nice.
Kepher, isn't it? Or
yes, that's the Kether of Earth, basically. Kether it's the oneness idea. Beyond duality, the light and the dark combined into one. It's the first thing. It's like the spirit that connects us all. So the Kethers, the aces in our tarot deck, are basically the most balanced and harmonious form of that element. And the Ace of Discs or Pentacles is the Kether of Earth, the most balanced form of Earth. So that's like, for a podcast, that's like, I would expect something like Mercurial or maybe like with Scorpio or Pluto showing up. But that's like getting work done. That's significant.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, and it felt very powerful as I pulled it out and just looked at it in front of me, the image and whatnot. And I know that aces rule the North Pole and are the roots of the 4 elements, right? So it's a seed, so to speak. It's a beginning. Aces are an initial thrust, right? It's pure elemental energy. Like you said, they're powerful. And it's material progress, which is so cool.
Fuck yeah, it's not just talking into the air. It's getting shit done.
That's right. That's right. There's a strength to this card, right? That's what I thought too. That's what I thought too. So yeah, there it is. That's where we're at. So I'll take it, right? You can pull the next card for next week and whatever we decide to talk about, and we'll have you do that, and you can share with us maybe. But I knew you would know about the Tree of Life in that card. I was pretty excited. I knew a little bit about it.
It sounded like from the description that was from your new Hermetic deck, right?
Exactly. It's from the Hermetic Tarot. That is correct, which I just got. Esoteric Workings of the Secret Order of the Golden Dawn. Well, that's what the Tarot is based on anyway, the Golden Dawn. Really, the original, before we got the Cat Tarot and the Ruffle Mumpkin Blue Muffin Top Tarot and the...
I mean, some people will say that, like, Raider Waite or that French fucking deck, I hate French words and names, I won't even say it, that French fucking deck are older and all that, but even if you look at them, you still see the Aries Ram and the Emperor card, like in not all of them, but a lot of the astrological symbology is still there. I mean, the Golden Dawn just kind of perfected it and really thought it out the most. I mean, or you could say Crowley did after him, but, you know, he made some tweaks. Some people agree with them, some people don't. But it's still way more thought out than the fucking Cat Tarot.
Yeah, well, the Cat Tarot, I think, and all these other ones. Not to mock. I don't want to diminish anyone.
I mean, it's good to have fun, but
yeah, it's not. It's deviating away, much like some of the memes you've seen, and it's commercializing.
Yeah, like most people
and cheapening it.
Most tarot readers have no idea anything about the Tree of Life. And to me, that's like a chemist not knowing about the periodic table. Like, that's just fucking ridiculous.
And that's why you want to do this podcast, too. It's just, let's talk about that, you know? So, we're definitely going to do a show on the tarot. That's going to be great, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll be getting into the planets, the zodiac signs, Kabbalah, and it's impossible not to, well, for me at least, it's impossible not to mention all of them together. Like, there's a good quote by Dion Fortune that Kabbalah, astrology, and tarot aren't three different systems. They're three aspects of the same system.
Yeah, I have heard that. It's all interwoven, like we are one kind of thing.
Of course, yes.
I tell you what we didn't talk about, which I'd like to really quick before we jump off here, is what's going on in the 12th house in this sky map of the broadcast and, you know, just today.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of planets there, or asteroids.
12th house. Yeah. We have an Aries 12th house with 5 positions together.
Oh, damn.
And Neptune and Pisces is there.
5 positions and together and what?
In Aries in the 12th house.
No, sorry, just cut off for a second.
Yeah, we have 5 positions in Aries in the 12th house, all in retrograde. So it's almost as if, you know, the goddesses stepped up that work with me closely. There's 2 of them here that I work with very closely and identify with, and I know you identify with the goddesses because we bring a lot of feminine energy because we both are drawn to that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we have... Do you know which ones are in there? You want to mention them? Or you want me to mention them?
No, I don't know these symbols that well.
Okay. So Hecate, right, is in there. Well, let me just say this. We're going to do a whole show on the asteroids and goddesses, too, one by one, because there's just too many. But Hecate is there, Black Moon Lilith, and Chiron. So it's like these really chief archetypes are there, strong feminine archetypes are there helping in air's energy, very cardinal to heal Chiron with the messages that are going to be coming forth.
That kind of being right next to Chiron, that like elucidates what is Chiron going to be aggressively healing: the sexual nature of the Black Moon Lilith, and I mean the liminal nature of Hecate. I mean that's a little more difficult to draw out, but that could be pointing towards. When I think of Hecate, you know, the moon, the liminal nature between the spaces going back and forth.
Yeah, and also, you know, she is past, present, future. She's a triple goddess, so she's deeply concerned about healing and making sure that you when you're at the crossroads, you can go forward where you're supposed to go. Because she looks back and she looks forward, and
right.
she looks directly in front of her. Now the other asteroid there, Eris, okay. That is the sister of Mars. And there's a whole story behind her. I'm not going to get into it, but she can be violently angry, and she can kill people. So here is a very explosive energy that's saying, you know, talk about hidden things in the 12th house, and talk about the deep anger that people can get. Because people don't want to talk about, and how to soothe it, and how to work it, and how to transmute it, right? Because this is all past energy here, and with Neptune and Pisces, it's asking you to spiritualize it and psychically come in and heal it. And you're in the 12th house, so you're getting ready to go into the first house, and none of that energy can come with you. Chiron needs to be healed before you get in the first house. You're going to shed it, and you're right at the end of it. So, you know, globally and culturally, this is saying, I am healing the collective in deep, deep inner ways, and, you know, the people are angry, right?
Yeah, they're definitely in need of healing right now.
Exactly.
It has yet to be seen.
And, you know, we're not going to go into it, but it is opposite the 6th house of the body in Virgo, the Sun and Mars. Look at this. You know, anything that's an opposite, you've got to look at that. So that's a big deal. So, yeah, that's all I got, man.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing your expertise.
Oh, thank you for sharing your ancient wisdom and knowledge, which I need to get brushed up on, and I'm excited. I'm
just a guy that reads some books.
Right? Yeah, we should one day talk about just a list of books that would be really good to read, and why. You know what I mean? That'd be good.
Sure.
All right, so until next week, right? What are we going to talk about?
We'll figure that out. We have a variety of options.
We might just go to the sun, right? We talked about going through the planets.
Could start with the planets. I mean, shows we're planning of doing sometime in the future are the planets, the houses, the signs, the spheres on the Kabbalistic tree of life. What else were we brainstorming about the other day? We'll get to all these eventually.
Yeah. And we just decided that we were just going to talk and do this, and whoever listens, listens, and we're not trying to be anybody's voice, but we just want to share what we've learned and what we're studying, and just bring in who we are, and hopefully, you know, practical tips. So I just want to go out with a practical tip. And if I could just say this and write this down, put it on a note card, put it on sticky notes, think about it before you go to bed, and it's just watch your breath.
Hell yeah.
Watch your breath, and not like be all weird about it, you know, but just be like, okay,
wait
a minute. You know, wait a minute, I'm starting to breathe a little bit faster and heavier, and, you know, just, and if you do take 70 seconds to close your eyes and just put your mind in a place of breathing in and out, telling yourself you're inhaling peace and exhaling any anxiety. You do it 3 times. After 70 seconds, you'll be in a better place and be able to look at the situation better. And don't ever apologize for having to do that, because there's a lot going on out there, and it's not easy all the time. A lot of changes, so watch your breath. That's my tip.
Fuck yeah.
How about you? You got a tip? What do you do?
Well, I follow that one tip religiously. There are 3 breaths I rely on heavily: the breath of fire, the Wim Hof breath, and the, what is it called? The Yogi Complete Breath. And check out a book called The Hindu Yogi Science of Breathing, an old classic.
Oh, man, that sounds amazing. That'll be a show. You're going to talk about that. We need to talk about that. Because
I mean, it's hard to stretch that to an hour. I mean, it's so simple, so simplistic. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, maybe we should just do some deep breathing together. Take 15 minutes, man, talk about it, and be like, whoever wants to breathe with us next week, we're going to do it. And I'd like to learn it and practice it, you know?
All right.
And then maybe we could see what channels through. Maybe shuffle a few cards or something. I don't know.
Oh,
Wim Hof.
Fun shit.
Isn't Wim Hof the cold dude guy?
Yes, he
is. Himself? Yeah, man. I've been starting to turn my water to cold as I get out of the shower.
I didn't do anything like that, but just the breathing exercise alone is incredible to raise your vibration, to help against depression and anxiety.
Right. That's exactly true. All right, man. Well, peace out until next week.
All right. Have a great night.
All right. Have a great night, y'all. Peace.
All right.